Raising teenagers is hard. Understatement of the century. This is Mentor Select. Mentor Select. Parenting teens to be successful adults. Mentor Select serves parents who are raising teens. Every week, Derek interviews leading experts that work with teens, educators, counselors, mentors, and authors to give you practical tips, strategies, and resources that you can incorporate immediately to better connect and understand your teen. All while parenting them to be successful adults, focusing on social and emotional development, something that's left out of the classroom, but not in ours. Be sure to subscribe, share, and rate. This is Mentor Select, and this is your host, Derek Phillips.
All right, parents, you are in for a wonderful treat today. We have Dr. Walter Price joining us, aka the Encourager. He is the founder of Priceless Education, and also he is a professor of speech and business and the chair of the Division of Business at Southwestern Christian College. How are you, Dr. Price?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, Derek?
I'm doing great. That's certainly a tongue twister to listen off all your credentials. And I know that's just a couple of them.
We're just trying to do a little bit. We're trying to make a mark. Well, you know what Dr. King said? He said, if a man hasn't discovered something he will die for, he isn't fit to live. And so
I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Like, what? You're just taking up space.
Right.
Indeed. So where are you joining us from today, Dr. Price?
I'm joining you from, in fact, I'm at Southwestern Christian College. And so in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Dallas, Texas.
Awesome.
And so I even dressed up for you.
I might have to add video next time.
Right.
You're a sharp dresser. Indeed. So how long have you been a professor at Southwestern?
I've been professor for about 23 years this August at Southwestern Christian College. Also 5 years at Jarvis Christian College, which both are HBCUs, historical Black colleges and universities. And then I also graduated from University of Texas at Arlington, in Arlington, Texas, and worked there as well, taught in their continuing education department for probably about 2 or 3 years.
As far as with HBCUs, and a lot of maybe people, especially like parents, may not know a lot about them, and perhaps their teens are interested in the HBCUs. I guess can you tell us more about your college, and then also just more information about HBCUs?
I sure will. HBC, historical Black colleges and universities, were around back in the day when they could not go to the primary white institutions. And so they were developed primarily in the beginning for African Americans, so they can go. You've heard of Spelman, Morehouse College, where Dr. Martin Luther King graduated from. Of course, Southwestern Christian College. You've heard of Howard University, and just many more that around. And so one of those things, they put out doctors, lawyers, educators all over the world. And so that's one of the things I just have a heart for HBCUs because I see young people in the classroom. HBCUs are known for giving you more than just a general education. They're motivating. They will challenge the student to be as the best that they can possibly be and really make them go further than what they think that they could go. And so, again, that's why I have a heart for HBCUs, because I've seen so many people, again, come out of historical Black colleges and universities. And mentor, I've had several mentors as far as faculty mentor me over the years at different institutions. So they're a godsend. They put out fantastic young people. And so I'm just proud to be part of that whole history of the HBCU, Historical Black College and University.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I know HBCU has a rich tradition, as you mentioned. So, yeah, definitely a great option for any students out there considering attending HBCU. Mm-hmm. And you said Southwestern Christian College is in the DFW area?
It's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Texas, and we're about 31 miles east of Dallas.
Okay.
31 miles east of Dallas. We have students come from all over the world, in fact. and we're affiliated with the Churches of Christ. And so we would love to have one of the young people. They could call me. I'm not in the admissions department anymore, but I would walk them through that process and make sure they get squared away. And even if they're not coming here, I'd be more than happy to help them get into school, get into, HBCU. I just like to see young people get that opportunity for their career-wise while they're going down that path.
Certainly. And you know some people, in high places. So
We'll get them in. We'll get them in. I'm trying to tell you. We will get them in some kind of way, or somebody in school.
Certainly. So speaking of that admissions process, I know that you don't work in admissions, but you're familiar with the process. Mm-hmm. What are some things that parents and their teens should be doing to prepare themselves for make that process smoother, that transition from high school to college smoother?
That's a great question. One of the things I always tell parents and young people is look at the deadlines. Get you a sheet of paper or a highlighter, get their catalog. Most institutions are getting away from the catalog. They're having everything online, but print out that schedule, the dates, the deadlines, because they're so very, very important. You have the institution deadlines, and you also have the federal government deadlines as well. If you're trying to get financial aid, FAFSA, there's certain dates that you have to get that turned in, fill that out and turn in. And with that, in most cases, the parent may have to get their tax returns or may have to get W-2s, and they need to be sure that they are looking at those deadlines. Even once they get into the school, they need to make sure whatever the deadline is, try to hit that deadline, because you're competing against hundreds of thousands of students or even millions of students across the country and the world trying to get into university college, and they're doing the same thing. So following those deadlines, getting you a calendar, putting them on the calendar, and making sure you hit those deadlines.
Yeah, that's great advice. Starting with the basics. You got to make those deadlines, Right. You miss that, nothing else matters.
That's it, man. And, every school has different admission deadlines as well.
Right.
You would think it's just, August. Okay, we're going to start in August, but they back up all the way to the spring semester, which is April and March. You want to get all your paperwork in, letters of recommendation, all of those things in prior to those deadlines. And if they want it on this certain date, you back it up a month early. So you can be sure to get those that information, critical information in to that college or university.
Yeah, certainly. Speaking of admissions, I know the spring semester of 2020 ended abruptly for pretty much all the colleges with COVID-19. What changes are going to, do teens have to look forward to with attending university in the fall of 2020?
Well, one of the things you have is that you're going to have some of the schools that will be doing online education as they did the partial part of the spring semester around March. I think around March is when the universities began to go online. And you'll find many schools, again, will probably continue that when August comes. And as you know, the spike of COVID-19 has risen again.
Right.
And it has spiked in many states. And so you're looking at a lot of colleges and universities saying that, to be on the safe side, we're going to continue this online platform for our students. You have some universities that are going and saying that we're going to open up. And, I have thoughts about that because I know they have to pay those light bills. And they say, we got to open up because some students are comfortable about doing online education. Then you have some students that are not comfortable with online education.
It takes a lot of self-discipline with that online.
And I can testify that when I was a student in grad school. But one of the things is that you'll have that. So you have some students who may not feel comfortable. So they may say, I'm just going to sit out in the fall semester and just pick it back up in the spring, and I will work in the fall. So you have that conversation going on in houses with the parents and the student as well. I say personally, I tell students, don't run away from it. Embrace it. Learn it now. take less courses so that you'll have that online experience in education, and then you'll get more familiar with it, because as you matriculate through your college and life in general, you're going to have more courses online.
Yeah, that's definitely the wave of the future. Certainly.
Definitely. So continuing education courses, professional development courses, you're going to have all those types of things.
Yeah. So with your college, are you all doing a hybrid, or are you opening back up, or online?
We're going to be online. We're going to be online simply because it's so close. And we're in July now. Our school starts about that first week, second week of August. So we made a decision to do online as we did when we ended in May. And so we do something, as I told you in the beginning, HBCUs try to put a little bit more oomph into it, much more personal relationship with the students. So we'll walk them through it. We'll help them through that process, give them a little bit more time if they're not comfortable in doing it. They all should be comfortable now doing it, but realize too that we have freshmen coming in the fall.
Right.
We haven't seen those students. We will have returning students, but we haven't seen those freshmen. So again, we don't know their capabilities of handling online, education. So we'll give them that extra help through that process.
Gotcha. Now, speaking of online learning, a lot of parents found themselves as not just parents, but actually teachers overnight teaching online. You mentioned about that extra oomph. What are some things that parents could do?
It's like getting in deep water. You don't know what to do.
Oh yeah.
For parents, especially in the summertime, as you know, parents expect their students to be home, their child to be home, and so they make arrangements for that. But when you have the school system, the independent school district saying, okay, in March, you all gonna have to take your kids,
right?
Because we're shutting down. And then now you have the parent trying to find a way to really make sure that child is being taken care of if they have to go to work. And so I think so many were really blessed and thankful that their employer was able to say, okay, we're going to have you work at home.
Absolutely.
You know, that was a blessing for them. But again, you may have the same situation again, and you may have little Jimmy at home. And so the parents are going to have to find a way, either stay at home or, visit with the employer to see can they work from home. And for many parents, that's a big challenge.
Right.
And their company may say, no, we want you to come in. And in some cases, that parent may have to, unfortunately, quit that job and get one that's compatible with, their situation.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of parents have to make that tough decision.
Yeah. They're thinking about that now.
So my daughter is 1. She's in daycare.
Wow.
And of course, when COVID is shut down, and then they had just opened up the beginning of this month.
Right.
And 2 weeks in, okay, we're back into our routine. I'll still work from home, though. My wife is back in the office. And we get a text message from the daycare say, hey, come pick up your kids. One of the kids tested positive for COVID.
Wow, man.
so that's
something.
That
is amazing, man. And that's, I remember those days, but we didn't have COVID.
Yeah, it was something else.
Kids had a little runny nose, or they had, stomach ache or whatever. And he said, okay, we're coming up there. But when you hear COVID,
you go.
Let's get up there quick.
Come get it immediately. But you think about that. That's something that schools and daycares are going to be dealing with the entire year. And once the kids test positive, now the health department say, hey, you got to shut down for 2 weeks.
Definitely so. And with the spike going up, as we talked about earlier, the spike is going up now, even higher than it did in the beginning. So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for that parent. It's going to be a real big challenge.
Yeah.
And hopefully the government or the daycare will give them some type of relief in that area.
Yeah. But our new normal, it's got to adjust to it.
Or the parent will say, I'm just going to have to go on unemployment.
Yeah.
Because I don't have anybody to watch my kid.
Yeah. It's tough decisions.
That's the other side that you have.
Yeah, definitely tough decisions. Now, Dr. Price, speaking of college freshmen, as they're transitioning from high school to college life, What are some challenges you see that a lot of college freshmen encounter transition into their college life?
I think the preparation, if we talk about let's just talk about the academic side. And one of the things I think parents should do is take their child to visit different universities and colleges.
Okay.
It should not be that child's first time being on a college campus. And because what happens is it's like a shock. Because most cases you will have a young person in the dorm, and that person is going to be living with another person in most cases, unless they're going to pay for their room by themselves.
Right.
So that whole dynamics of getting to know that person, interpersonal communication, getting to understand conflict, because you're going to have conflict with your roommate, how to deal with conflict, how to cleanliness. What I tell students all the time, and tell parents in particular, is that you need to teach your child how to be clean.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like
true.
a little thing. But if you used to throwing your stuff all over the place, you're not taking a bath. You take a bath every 3 or 4 days.
That's going to be a problem with a roommate.
Yeah, you're going to have some conflict because your roommate going to say, we're not having that. And that person may be the cleanest person, and they like their bed made up. You don't like yours. So you have all those things. And I think parents have to talk about those things before they get there and not let it be a shock. If not, you'll have your child moving from one dorm room to the next. Interpersonal communication is going to have a lot of strain on it because your child hasn't learned those skills of being clean and those types of things. So that's just the dorm process. I think the academic piece is I tell parents to get a sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11, draw it down the middle of that paper, put on one side, these are the things that your son or daughter does well. On the other side, these are the challenging things that my son or daughter needs to work on. I don't like to say problems because when people say problems, it's fatalistic. People say,
get defensive about it.
We can't overcome those things.
Yeah.
But I think if you say, Derek, you say challenges,
right,
and people more able to say, it's just a challenge. We can overcome this.
Overcome it, yeah.
But I think if you put those things on that paper and you can see it visually, then you can say, these are the positive things that, that Jimmy has. And looking over here, he needs to work on these things, writing, speaking, looking at a person in their eye when they communicate, just taking that initiative. And that way begin to start working on those things.
Right.
And those are some of the things I see that some of our young people, not only at our school, but other schools as well, that they don't know their weaknesses and their strengths. They have never assessed those things. And then I think the other thing too is communication is so critical, as you know, that, around the house, they may have the earpiece in their ear the whole day.
Right.
And they're good. They're not talking to you and you're not talking to them. But when you come to the university level, or college level, you got to communicate. You got to talk.
Right.
It's part of the experience. And so I think it has to be a balance. I'm not saying I just have to get rid of it, but it has to be a balance where you communicate and you talk to people. How you doing, Mr. Daniels? You doing all right? Professor Lewis, you doing all right? You're communicating to people.
Right.
You're networking, you building those relationships. And so that's part of it as well. And one of the critical things is I teach all my students about money.
Okay.
That's one of the things that you'll find a lot of college universities or high schools don't do. I don't care what course it is. I teach speech and business, and I even talk about money in my speech class. And, I have a student or two that will ask me, they said, Brother Price, this don't have anything to do with speech. but it's a life skill.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I teach a course, I'm teaching the main subject, whatever that subject may be, and then I'm teaching a life skill. What about money? How do you spend your money? You get $1. How do you spend that money? And so we break that down. 70% of that should be spent on bills.
Yeah.
Your mortgage, your car payment, whatever your bills may be. And we'll just use, these are general numbers, but you can make them up as it can be 6%, 7%, or whatever you want to put in that percentage. 10% could be for giving that you give. 10% investing. And as you know, some, especially African Americans, have been taught how to invest.
Right.
So they don't
it's
know
foreign concept.
It's foreign concept.
Buy some Jordans. That's an investment.
That's it. So we talk about 7% spending, 10% giving, 10% investing, and then 10% savings. Save your money. And I think that concept will stay with them once they graduate from school. Once they get married, they'll know how to handle that money. And I think that's one of the critical things that's missing when we talk about the whole education system.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree.
Money is so very, very important, but we don't teach people how to manage or budget their money. And so I try to give them that knowledge. So I would tell parents to go over money. What is money? Just don't say it in general. Save your money. You got to save your money. Show them how to save their money.
Right.
How to really be successful, and give them books that they can use as well as a resource.
Right.
I think they can be successful in that area.
Yeah. Well, all great advice. And I love like I said, just a simple exercise of that piece of paper, put a line down the middle, just essentially doing that self-assessment. And what I like too, when folks in identifying their strengths and weaknesses, is with those strengths, they can be like, okay, these are areas I can continue to build on, become even stronger. And then, the areas where you have a few challenges. Okay. Exactly. With a plan.
Exactly. You have to have a plan. And I think you have to show by example. You just can't say, okay, you do this, and then you're the biggest spender parent we've ever seen.
Exactly.
Like, what are you showing me? You trying to tell me something?
Gotta practice what you preach.
It's like you tell me, don't drink, and then you drinking every day, every morning. So I think you have to do that. That's very, very important. And then in college too, we talk about saving your money, is that you don't have to have, the best looking car, the Corvette and all those things. What I tell my students, and I show them, we talk about Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart. He drove around in a little old truck.
Yeah, pickup truck. Yeah.
We talk about these kind of things. We talk about people who are real successful that, they stay in the same little bitty
Buffett.
house.
Warren
Buffett. In his same little house, little bitty house, little town. And I try to show them these different things, because in their mind, coming out of high school or coming from another school, is that, I got to make $1 million and I got to have this car and I got
to show it off.
That's not the game. The game is saving your money and buying those things that you need.
Right.
And I'm not saying you got to, ride an old ragged car your whole life, but that shouldn't be your main game plan.
Yeah.
Is save all your money just to put money into a car that's going to depreciate once you drive it off the lot. So I think you have to think about that. And then the other thing, Darrell, is that, what I tell young people is that don't get married while you're in college. On the first date. On the first date, you done took somebody out bowling. And she looked at
your soulmates.
Because you made a strike, and then y'all looking at each other in the eye, and you said, that's my wife. We're going to get married. We're going to get married next week. Take your time and really understand the whole process of you as an individual first. And then interpersonal relationships, beginning now to really develop your interpersonal communication. What if you're going to do a relationship with another person, opposite sex, what is that person love language?
Right.
How does that person handle conflict? How does that person communicate? I think all those things are really growing types of interpersonal relationship things, but we don't put enough time into that.
Right.
I ask my students, I say, have you ever heard of love languages? They say, well, what you talking about? What's going on? What they don't know what I'm talking about. And so I introduce that to them. It doesn't have anything to do with business, doesn't have anything to do with speech. But again, it's that life skill, the life skill that you need to know.
Right.
So that you have the person that you want, not necessarily in college, but as you matriculate through life. And that way, you're not having that big challenge at the end.
Yeah. Those life skills, man, like I said, it's something that the education system largely ignores or just doesn't focus on. So I love the fact that you incorporate that into whatever the subject is, because they're relevant. It's foundational.
You can't find it, in the book you're teaching from. And so you have to make sure that, you're covering those things, man. It's so very, very important.
Indeed. Now, like I said, we know you have a long resume and a lot of life skills and skill sets. One area I certainly want to focus on, I think is relevant, is your expertise of conflict resolution and
Yes.
mediation. So
Yeah.
I kind of want to cover from 2 points where maybe parents are trying to understand how to manage conflict and mediate with their teens, and then also the teens dealing with conflict resolution amongst their peers.
Right. You bring a real good point. A friend of mine, she has a daughter that went off to college. She lives in the Dallas area. Her daughter went to California. And so she's back home now. And so they were having some conflict. And I think one of the things that you have, as I told her, you have to keep the door open as far as communication.
Okay.
Because now, not only in college, but high school and also in their middle school years as well, keep that door open. You have to discuss everything, I believe. I've had 2 kiddos. One now is in the military, Air Force, and he's been there 2 years as he came out of high school. And my daughter is 5 years older than him. And I just think that you have to talk about everything. And I think we don't want them to be exposed to that. But I tell parents that students are, your child's already been exposed to that in
Exactly.
they're junior high, they're in high school. You say, I don't want them exposed. Then
Too late.
Think about it. They already know.
Yeah.
They already know. I promise you, they know.
Right.
It's too many things, especially now. I think back in the day, Darius, I know you're not that old, but I like to say back in the day. But I think our parents could have possibly said it a little bit. It still would have been wrong to say, well, they don't know about that. I don't want to expose.
Right.
And we already knew about that because I think once you got on the bus, it's a whole different education when you get on the bus.
Oh, exactly.
But I think you have to talk about sex education. You have to talk about being safe when you're out and about. And if not, things like this can happen. When you go out, and I tell my young ladies is that when you go out, you happen to go to a club, when you go into the bathroom, you come back, don't drink that drink, no matter what it is, water, lemonade,
Right.
coffee, alcohol. You say, well, Walter, I paid $7, so that's too bad. You shouldn't
finish it before you go.
You just go drink before you left. But don't go back to that because people may slip something in your drink. And then you have all kinds of challenges. Someone may take advantage of you. And then it's a different, can turn your life upside down. So those are some of the things that you have to be aware of. So conflict resolution, you have to talk to your child about it. You have to handle it now. They are a college freshman. And so, you call them young adults. And so you need to continue to show them how to handle conflict. Handling conflict is not throwing a fit.
Right.
Throwing a fit. I saw a young lady the other day. She was in a store and they asked her to wear a mask, as you know. And she just threw a fit. I mean, this is a grown lady. She's probably like 30, 40. She's throwing meat out of baskets. She's throwing eggs out of baskets.
Wow.
Just threw a fit. This is a grown person.
Wow.
And
not a toddler.
No, this is a grown person, Derek. And so that's the thing I say is that show them how to handle conflict. You don't have to win every argument. That's not the goal, even though we've been taught that, you win at arguments. You win
right.
But that's not the goal. And I think dealing with your peers, believe it or not, I've told a lot of young people is that don't get in back-to-back conversation. You say something about me and I'm going to come back with you.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you have to let the person know I'm going to respect you. And I, appreciate you respect me as well. We all have our opinion about this particular subject. And, if we can't communicate and listen to each other, then I need to step away. And that's whether or not you're dealing with a best friend or not a best friend or in a relationship. If you're not going to honor me and listen to what I have to say, then we don't have anything else to say.
Right. In the conversation.
Yeah, man, because communication, as you know, is you speaking, I'm listening to you. And then now I'm giving you feedback. I'm speaking, you listen to me. And it's back and forth like that. And hopefully we'll come to some kind of resolution. But it's okay if we don't come to a resolution. we're learning from each other, and then we just have to grow. We just agree to disagree. But again, it shouldn't be any fighting, fussing, cussing, and calling names and that type, because that's not communication. In most cases, that's abuse. And so, if a young person is being abused at a school, the first person they need to tell is the teacher. If they're in a teacher situation, and someone may say, "Well, that's you tattling," you still need to let the teacher know. And whether it's after school, or I wouldn't say in the midst of it, but I would say let the teacher know, so that person can be aware of some things, so it doesn't grow to be bigger. And then that person can document those things. And then let your parent know. You young people should let their parent know. And you should encourage that as a parent. If something's happening in school, let me know. Because over the years, there's so many young people that have committed suicide. They have taken their own life, got into drugs because they were bullied, called all kinds of names, and they couldn't talk to anybody. And so that's the thing we have to do, is keep that door open, of communication open. And I think once we do that, you'll be able to resolve some problems, challenges rather. And then that young person can come to you no matter what.
Yeah, those are some great tips. And as you mentioned, once it gets to that point where one side is doing verbal abuse, and you don't necessarily respond to that, because like I say, keeping that door of communication open. But once you start insulting each other and disrespecting each other,
that's it.
Hey, that closes the door. Like, you're no longer communicating.
That's it. That's it. That's one of the reasons why we have 50% of marriages in divorce, because one is trying to get up on the other.
Right.
And when I see that I'm not getting to you, then I'm starting name calling. I'm gonna get you where it hurts.
They're fighting dirty,
Exactly. I know stuff about you.
Oh yeah, I know your deepest, darkest secrets.
I know your mama. I know your mom and your dad, and all the personal stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely toxic, and that's something early on in my marriage. My wife and I, we just realized, like, when we would get into arguments, it was becoming more adversarial and getting toxic, where we just say, hey, let's sleep on it. Let's come back and let these emotions settle down, and then address it when we're calm. So that's made a huge difference.
It's like cancer, man. It's cancer. If you don't do something about it, then it's gonna eat you up.
Right.
Just tear down your own marriage. But that's great that you all did that.
Yeah, definitely helped a lot. But communication certainly is the key. And speaking of communication, I know that you are longtime Toastmaster.
Yes.
And I could say for Toastmasters, I joined in 2016. And it's because of Toastmasters that I'm hosting this podcast today, that I'm an author today, that I'm an entrepreneur today, because it gave me that confidence to help me learn how to communicate effectively in public. So a lifelong lover of Toastmasters.
Wow, man.
Always being that.
I totally agree, man. One of the things I would tell you, when I first started in 2010, and somebody asked me to join Toastmasters, and I said, I already know how to speak. I was just saying that I already know how to speak. I was doing UIL in high school, all this kind of thing. And so it's kind of like that arrogant type of thing. You know how many people get like that. And so two of my friends, they came to the campus, and they didn't know I had this disposition about Toastmasters. And they say, Walter, they knew I taught speech. They say, Toastmasters be great for your students. And that's how they got me in through my students, because they know yeah. So, 2010, man, since I've been involved in it, I would tell you it's been the best thing that I've ever gotten into professionally, professional development. And as you know, Toastmasters, it really hones in on your leadership and your communication styles, and really helps in that area. And it's all over the world. And so you have goals that you have to try to meet in order to go up the chain in communication and leadership. And it's just been the great thing, that I've learned. 4 things I really learned about growth, and it really has helped me grow. One, I learned that you have to really set aside time to grow. And you have to stop sometime, get in organizations, get in professional development, and that will help you. So set aside time to grow. And then, I had to determine my areas of growth, which areas I really wanted to grow in. And one was speaking, even though I knew how to speak. And I tell people, even though if Dr. Martin Luther King was here, he would say, yeah, maybe, I should have done this. I should have said this in that time. And then the third thing is, I would say, is for my growth, find resources in the areas of growth that can help me grow. And I say this for young people as well. Not only set aside time for you grow, determine your areas of growth, find resources in your areas of growth. And then I would look at apply what you learn daily in your growth. And I think it's going to make you a better man or woman when you do that. We all should be growing. It's like a plant. We just can't sit there and not grow, because we're going to die. You're going to die eventually. Water won't help you. You put a little water, but you all dirt now because you have been growing. Then it's not going to help you. So Toastmasters has really been helpful to me. I've gone high as you can go, which is Distinguished Toastmaster. And I met so many people, network. It helps in the networking area as well. And I would say this too, back to our students, is that networking is so very, very important. I tell my students is that do internships while you're in college. And they say, well, that's not no money. You're not doing it for money.
Right.
You're doing it for networking relationship. Many times your networks can mean more than money.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your influence and everything.
Exactly. And internship, they think I'm talking about 8 hours a day. No, you go to that company, you want to be a lawyer, go to the law firm, say, I just want to intern for 1 hour a week. Can I do that? I'll do whatever you want to do. I just want to be a lawyer. And more likely they see the burning in your spirit.
Right.
They're going to allow you to do that. And before you know it, next semester, they may give you a job. Say, we're going to have you for 10 hours a week.
Yep.
And then now you know the lawyer, you know some judges. And then when you begin to go to law school, applying to law school, now they may write a letter.
Yep.
They may have
well ahead of your competition.
Exactly. And, that's all part of getting into an internship. And so most of my students say, I want to get into an internship. I say, you're missing out.
Right.
You're missing out. Because they'll say, it's not no money. And then, no, everything is not about the money.
Right.
It's about many times who you know.
Yeah.
And that whole process, because they can make a way out of no way. They say, I'm going to call so-and-so and, they got a little job down there at the courthouse. I want you to go down there. You're going to be alone.
Those
and
connections.
That's a working thing.
Yep. Another thing I love about that is also with them doing internships, they may find out like, hey, I don't want to be a lawyer. Exactly. I don't want to do what I thought I wanted to do because it exposes them to it. Yeah, it's me too. That was me, man. So that can save a lot of heartache, time, money.
I'm telling you, Derek, I thought I was going to be a lawyer. I graduated from high school, Jefferson, Texas, and I worked for a lawyer while I was in high school. I got to college. I worked for 3 or 4 lawyers at the district attorney's office in Tarrant County. Yep. Internship there. Worked for a batter shelter that the DA did. But man, found out I did not want to be a lawyer because they told me that if I was a lawyer and I knew the man killed, and he told me that he killed somebody, I couldn't. It's
privilege. Yeah, privilege. Yeah,
I was like, what? What kind of law is that? If I know, I'm gonna tell somebody. What you talking about? I said, no, you get disbarred. No,
right? Yeah.
I said, no, I need to.
This ain't for me. your values and morals is more than that. But no, that's funny. For me too, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer until I went to the first semester of law school.
Oh man!
Nah, this ain't what I thought. This ain't what they show on TV. This ain't exciting.
I went, man. Shoot, I'm serious. But you got to, it's good. You find out before you spend all the money,
exactly,
time, and the stress, man. So I thank God for just allowing me not to go that far in what I'm doing now.
You're doing what you were called to do. So
that's it. Touching young people and doing training, corporate training, and that kind of stuff, man. I love that. So
awesome.
Great journey.
Well, Dr. Price, you're giving us a lot of great just wisdom and practical strategies and tips that parents can incorporate today and actually make an impact. So we really appreciate that.
Man, I was getting warmed up. I'm getting warmed up.
But definitely, like I said, your resume, we can go on about 4 hours. But
anytime I can be of any service, if you want me to come and talk to some parents on a panel or something, don't hesitate to let me know. Love parents, love young people going to school, making a difference in their life. So anytime I can be of service, don't hesitate to let me know.
I will do. And like I said, I'm certainly honored for you being on the Mentor Select podcast. You're somebody who I consider a mentor, and you definitely a remarkable leader. You lead by example. So certainly.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate
keep making that impact. Before we let you go, how could parents or teens get in contact with you?
You can. I'm going to give you two things. My number is, call me anytime, 469-474-5241.
All right.
469-474-5241. And then if you want to email me, Professor Speaks with an S on it, professorspeaks@gmail.com.
That's the mark of a servant leader when they give you their cell phone number. So you know that they're committed to the cause.
I'll call you back, too. I'll call you back.
That's for sure. All right, Dr. Price, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Have a good summer, and certainly looking forward to the impact you can continue to make through just mentoring youth, through being a professor, also in your leadership role as Toastmaster. So keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. I thank you, man. I really appreciate you allowing me to come on today. And this is going to be a great program that you're doing. Not necessarily this program we're doing, but I think what you're doing, Mentor Select, is just going to go all over the world, man. I like to see it go all over the world. And so good luck, man. We're praying for you, and we know you're going to be successful.
You've been listening to Mentor Select. Mentor Select. Parenting teens to be successful adults. Hosted by Darrich Phillips. Raising teenagers is hard. Understatement of the century. We get it. That's why Darrich interviews leading experts that work with teens, educators, counselors, mentors, and authors to give you practical tips, strategies, and resources that you can incorporate immediately to better connect and understand your teen. That's why we do the show. Be sure to share Mentor Select with other parents of teens. Follow us on social media at Mentor Select to stay up to date on the latest tips, strategies, and resources for parenting teens. Send your questions and comments to darrich@mentorselect.com. Tune in every Wednesday for new episodes. Till next time, this is Mentor Select.